It's unlikely that Kevin's wife will be able to have children. In that sense, marrying an older woman really isn't a good idea.
That's what my direct boss, Smith, told me when I was 40 years old and had just started a new job at a company. I was shaking with anger and demanded he take back his words, but he didn't even realize his blunder. Worse yet, at the founding anniversary party, both he and his wife insulted me and my wife.
Oh my, is this Kevin's mom?
I thought she was his mother.
Amidst a small crowd that had gathered around us and fell silent, the CEO came running over with a pale face.
Never thought I'd see this happen here.
I'm Kevin, 40 years old. I'm working as a medical equipment service engineer at one of the leading companies in the industry. It's my first year here, after being hired mid-career last year. I've decided to make a long-term commitment to this company, so I'm giving it my all every day. There's a tendency to think it's late to start a new job at 40. Perhaps because of this, Smith seemed displeased with me from day one.
Even with engineering experience, moving jobs at your age, did you make some big mistake at your previous job? Or do you plan to quit here soon too?
I guess it's understandable for him to think that way at first. I worked as an engineer in another company until my late 20s. But then, I traveled abroad until I was 39, last year. Initially, I went on a working holiday to Canada, where my sister, Emma, had moved after getting married. From there, I spent about 10 years moving every few years to places like Africa and the Middle East. As part of Doctors Without Borders, my role there was as a logistician. I was responsible for procuring and managing the supplies and equipment needed for aid. This includes ensuring patient transport and securing routes for it. I was a non-medical staff member working alongside doctors. Going to Canada for a working holiday was supposed to be a one-year thing, just wanting to see the world while I was young. After working as an engineer in the US for over 5 years, I couldn't imagine spending my whole life at that company. And my first overseas experience was more shocking than I had anticipated. It was not as peaceful and safe as the US, so I always had to be extra careful in everything. I couldn't casually walk around at night, and if I bought expired food, it was my own fault for not checking. I always had to have my own opinion and assert it when talking to someone, and the disparities in wealth that I didn't feel in the US were blatantly apparent in everyday life. Still, I ended up loving the necessity of living seriously overseas. Using my abilities to their fullest and living each day was enjoyable for me. I regretted not experiencing life abroad earlier, like Emma. She went to Canada for college, got a job there, and married a local. She even said to me,
Kevin, you're just like me. You'd thrive more living abroad than in the comfortable life in the US. Why don't you come back after your working holiday ends?
And I truly felt the same. So, after safely spending a year and returning to the US, I started preparing to go back to Canada while doing part-time jobs. That's when I found a job listing that would determine the rest of my life. It was a recruitment ad for Doctors Without Borders staff. It was a job where I could live helping people in parts of the world where medical care doesn't reach. I could dedicate my labor to those suffering from conflict, natural disasters, poverty, etc. They were hiring electricians, architects, and even medical equipment service engineers. All of these required practical experience. Having the work experience as an engineer, I filled out the application and applied immediately. During the interview, they asked me in detail about my desire to join. I want to support healthcare with what I can do. I aim to use all my communication skills, physical strength, and willpower for the benefit of others. I passionately made my case, and I was accepted. After that, I registered as dispatch staff and participated in training within the country. There was more than half a year until training abroad, so I worked part-time throughout that period. My first dispatch was to the Middle East and Africa. In the town where I was sent, there was a shortage of vaccines for infectious diseases, and many people became seriously ill with diseases that could be easily treated with a quick visit to the hospital in the U.S. The medical team's mission was to vaccinate all the children in the town center. I was in charge of managing the vaccine transport vehicles and drivers. However, simply transporting vaccines was very difficult in that town. The road conditions were terrible, and it was hard to manage the temperature of the vaccines under the scorching sun. Vaccines that were finally delivered safely would be ruined when the town's power supply was cut off. Interactions with drivers were also difficult, requiring more than just English, leading to misunderstandings and even arguments. But when we finally completed the mission, I was filled with a sense of happiness. The solidarity with the doctors, staff, local people, and patients I worked with was as an irreplaceable sense of accomplishment. By then, nearly in my 30s, I had forgotten about returning to my former company or the US and decided to make this job my career. Over the next 10 years, I grew not only as an engineer, but also as a general logistician, a staff leader capable of organizing dispatch staff. There were many dangers, and I even fell seriously ill myself, but I felt like I had found my true calling. Being single and unattached, I somewhat assumed I'd continue to perform medical missions and live this way indefinitely. That was until last year, when I met a woman and, fortunately, ended up getting married. Her name is Mary, and she works as a doctor with Doctors Without Borders. Mary and I worked hard together on the same team and at some point realized we were attracted to each other. Mary confessed her feelings for me, but she never talked about going beyond that.
I'm 10 years older than you.
At the time, Mary was 49, 10 years my senior at 39. She always expressed the uneasy feelings she had about this. Mary had been working in this job longer than me, so she should know that age difference doesn't matter. There are couples with significant age differences abroad, and it's not unusual to see women older than their partners. It might stand out in the US, but both Mary and I are more accustomed to the sensibilities abroad, so I thought age shouldn't matter. To me, Mary was not only admirable as a doctor, but also beautiful and dignified as a woman, and she was an important presence as my beloved partner. I'm serious about wanting to marry you, Mary. I had expressed this clearly several times. However, Mary wouldn't say yes. So, I wondered if there was some other reason, but I didn't press further. Then one day, an emergency mission started in the medical corps. It was in a region engulfed in conflict, and the hospital was in danger. The mission was to safely transport pregnant women waiting to give birth to another region. I was running around securing enough gasoline for the round-trip transport. After successfully transporting everyone to the other hospital, I realized Mary hadn't arrived at the new hospital. When I asked the local staff, they told me Mary is still at the previous hospital, she said she wouldn't be returning for a while. This was despite the fact that the previous hospital was at risk of getting caught in the conflict. I rode a bike tens of kilometers back to the previous hospital. There, I found Mary trying hard to make the scared little children laugh. They were the siblings of the other children who had been transported. Because we could only transport a minimum number of people, we had no choice but to leave the older siblings behind. Mary stayed behind, knowing the risks, to encourage them. If Mary was going to stay, I thought I should too. Mary thanked me, with a troubled smile. That night, after the children had fallen asleep, Mary shared her story.
I have an older sister, Maggie. When we were kids, I was sickly, so my parents always worried about me more than her. I think she must have felt lonely. Of course, those in weaker positions or environments should be helped first. But in doing so, others are sacrificed. These children being separated from their mothers or siblings to be born must feel incredibly helpless. I left home and the U.S. as soon as I got my medical license. I'm healthy now, so I hoped my parents would start worrying about Maggie. I wonder if they're all getting along and healthy. I haven't been back in so long.
Listening to Mary, I felt I understood the reason for her remarkable character. Her strong sense of self-sacrifice stemmed from her concern for Maggie from a young age. She probably feels she shouldn't be happier than Maggie. If she can't give herself happiness, then I thought I should give it to her. The next day, as a general logistician, I checked the budget and figured out a way to take the remaining children to the new hospital, and somehow managed to execute it. With the children no longer a concern, Mary moved to the new hospital as well. There, I proposed to her again. For every sacrifice you make, Mary, I'll work even harder to protect you. Finally, with tears in her eyes, Mary said yes. When it came to our wedding, we didn't have a ceremony or party. Instead, we distributed food to the impoverished. Everyone wished us congratulations, and we felt truly happy. Afterwards, I decided to return to the U.S. alone for work to support Mary. It's rare for both of us to stay in the same region, and we're often in places without internet access. So, I returned to the U.S. to always be reachable and to have a base for Mary to return to whenever she needed. That's why I re-entered the workforce as an engineer. My re-employment was facilitated by several companies Mary had connections with around the world, so despite being 40, they all were positive about interviewing me. I chose this leading medical device manufacturer because they value the work of Doctors Without Borders and even have a department dedicated to it. The company needed my experience and wanted me to contribute immediately. I've done my best to meet their expectations over the past year. Initially, there were barriers with colleagues and superiors, but gradually, we've warmed up to each other, and now we're able to cooperate well. Except, I still can't seem to get along with Smith.
Kevin, I heard you've been living apart from your wife since you got married. Are you sure it's not some kind of romance scam?
Smith may be a manager in title, but he doesn't understand anything about Doctors Without Borders. Apparently, he has a company executive in his family, which makes him more of a figurehead manager. He doesn't seem busy with important work, so he's always more free than other employees. That's probably why he's annoyingly curious about my family situation. We met, fell in love, and got married, so it's definitely not a romance scam. No matter how I respond, Smith tries to dig deeper.
But your wife is much older, right? And a doctor too. I see no reason why she'd choose you. I can't see any love there, can you?
Well, you don't have to worry about us. Days love. Smith looked bored with my response and left. As I sighed and started on the backlog of paperwork, Anna from the next desk started talking to me.
Kevin, did you know Smith's wife is much younger? He's about 50, and she's around 30, but he goes around calling other people old. How much younger does he like them?
Anna, a 23-year-old girl at the office, often shares gossip. I see. You get involved with him a lot too, huh? I replied, and Anna made a disgusted face.
I think older people are fine, but someone like Smith is creepy. It's like he's okay with anyone, as long as they're young. It's not about age, it's the inside that should matter.
I found myself in full agreement with Anna's perspective. It doesn't matter how old Mary is. I love her for who she is. Last night, Mary sent me her cheerful picture. Currently, she's in the Middle East, caring for malnourished children at a refugee camp. In the picture, Mary was smiling, surrounded by local kids hugging her. Though the children were thin, the vitality in their eyes suggested that Mary's efforts were successful. I'm glad. Mary, embracing many children, looked like a mother to them. It reminded me of something Mary had said before.
I consider myself the second mother to the children I've helped. Even if I don't have my own children, I feel like I have children all over the world.
I remember nodding in agreement. Yell. I opened the email to glance at the picture once more. Mary is indeed a wonderful person.
Oh, sorry.
Anna's apology snapped me back to reality. What's up? Sorry.
Oh, no, it's that photo. Is that your wife by any chance? I'm sorry for peeking.
Anna pointed at my computer screen. No. It's my fault for opening personal emails at work. Yes, that's my wife. Opening personal emails on the computer during work, that's me. It's been a full year since we've seen each other, and truth be told, I'm feeling quite lonely.
Wow, your wife has such a nice smile. This is without makeup, right? She's naturally beautiful, and above all, it's a smile that comes from the heart.
I felt genuinely happy when Anna complimented Mary. After watching Anna look at the photo for a while, I closed my laptop, saying, all right, back to work. No matter how lonely I get, work is work. If I don't work hard in the US, I won't be able to support Mary if something happens to her. I switched gears and focused on my job. A few days later, when I arrived at the office, there was a photo on my desk. I didn't know who it was, but it showed a young mother and her small child. As I was wondering about it, Smith came rushing over.
Morning, Kevin. That's a photo of my wife and child. It turned out so well that I thought I'd give one to everyone in the department.
So, this was Smith's wife. Just as the rumors said, there's a significant age difference. Your wife is beautiful, and your child is adorable. Though I thought to myself that Smith was undeserving of such beauty.
Right. My wife used to be a model after all. Please, feel free to display it on your desk. Since you can expect children from your wife, it's also a reason not to marry someone older, right?
What? I was never more taken aback by Smith's words. Excuse me, Smith. Could you please take back what you just said? Smith looked puzzled and replied,
Huh? I didn't say anything strange. Your wife is beyond the age of having children. You should have married someone younger, just stating the obvious.
My hands trembled. I was so angry, I felt like hitting Smith for his incredibly rude remarks. How can you say such a thing, even if we don't have children? That's when Annie intervened.
Smith, that's power harassment. It's sexual harassment and even moral harassment.
I looked at Anna. She seemed angry as well.
Huh? What are you talking about? How is that harassment? Stop accusing me of nonsense. Kevin, Anna, do you dare to take such a defiant attitude, knowing my relative is in the upper management?
I couldn't afford to lose my job, but I couldn't let Smith's remarks slide. As I pondered what to do, Anna boldly responded.
I don't mind, even if it means a transfer or demotion. But please apologize to Kevin. You made disrespectful comments about him and his wife.
I was amazed by Anna's bravery and appalled by Smith's ignorance. Even after Anna's confrontation, Smith said,
Having children is natural when you're married. It's your fault for marrying someone who can't have them. I've done nothing wrong to apologize for. Enough. Give me back the photo. What a terrible morning.
Smith snatched the photo from us and walked away. I repeatedly thanked and apologized to Anna, who was still fuming. I was grateful she got angry on my behalf. A month passed. Smith blatantly ignored both Anna and me. It didn't bother us since it didn't affect our work. However, Smith suddenly approached my desk after a month. He was smiling unusually.
Kevin, about next month's founding anniversary party. It seems that employees with spouses are expected to attend with their partners.
I remembered seeing something about the anniversary party in the company newsletter. Well, I thought attending the party as a couple was the formal expectation, but Mary probably couldn't make it. My wife is too busy with work to attend together. Smith sneered and said,
Employees who are eager for promotion make arrangements to come with their spouses. If you're not interested in that, then it can't be helped. But surely, you're not saying you can show your wife to others, are you?
I felt like getting angry with Smith again for the first time in a month. However, before I could get angry, Smith hummed a tune and went back to his desk.
Don't worry about it. Your wife is doing important work.
Anna whispered to me in support. I thought she was right. But that night, I received surprising news from Mary. She would be coming home temporarily in 2 weeks. Her current project had just finished, and there would be a month before her next deployment. I was overjoyed. Finally, I could meet Mary. It was for moments like this that I had made a place for us in the U.S. Mary and I excitedly discussed over the phone where we would go and what we would eat when she returned. During the conversation, I also mentioned the founding anniversary party. Mary said, I will definitely accompany you, Kevin. I'm so happy to have such an opportunity. So, we decided to attend the party together as a couple. 2 weeks later, the long-awaited reunion day arrived. We spent every day feeling incredibly happy. It was our first time living together since getting married. Our time together as newlyweds was rosy. Then came the day of the founding anniversary party. Mary rented a classy dress from a rental room. The dress suited her well. However, her skin and hair were a bit rough from the sun in Africa, so she decided to keep her makeup minimal and light. As we entered the party hall at the fancy hotel, about half of the employees were there with their spouses. I proudly stood by Mary's side, but she seemed a bit uncomfortable.
Do I look all right? I feel like I'm being stared at.
I assured her, "You look great," though she seemed a bit self-conscious. Then Smith and his wife appeared.
Kevin, let me introduce you to my wife, Emily. Isn't she beautiful?"
Smith's wife, indeed a former model, was more stunning than anyone else in the room. I began to introduce Mary. Smith has always been very supportive. "This is my wife, Mary." Before I could finish, Smith cut me off and started speaking loudly.
"Oh my, is this Kevin's mother?"
His loud remark drew a crowd. I retorted loudly, "No, this is my wife, Mary." As the crowd gathered around us and fell silent, Emily spoke next.
"Wife? I thought she's your mother."
Her beautiful face twisted in mockery. Smith added,
"Right. Anyone would think she's the mother. With such light makeup and messy hair. Did you bring your parents to the party to stand out, Kevin?"
Mary covered her face. I detested the meanness of Smith and his wife. The other employees around us were whispering among themselves.
"Your mother seems upset, Kevin. Perhaps you should take her to the exit."
"Yo, why don't you go? You must be uncomfortable here."
I couldn't hold back any longer. Enough.
"What?"
I said, "She's my dear wife. If you continue to insult Mary, I can't forgive you, even if you're my boss or my boss wife." When I raised my voice, the Smith couple still sneered and said,
"Can't forgive us, you say?"
Oh, quite the bold statement for someone with no backing.
It was then a middle-aged man made his way through the crowd and stood before us. With a pale face, he said,
Mary, is that you? Mary.
When Mary heard his voice, she looked up, surprised, and exclaimed.
Michael.
I was still trying to grasp the situation when a woman's voice followed.
Excuse me, pardon me. Please let me through.
Following the man, a woman who looked strikingly like Mary came forward.
Bob, Mary, it really is you.
The middle-aged man, the woman resembling Mary, and Mary herself embraced each other, crying. I could only watch. Hearing Smith's trembling voice,
The CEO and his wife.
After a moment of crying, Mary introduced me to the two.
This is my husband, Kevin. He's a wonderful man.
Then she introduced them to me.
This lady is my twin sister, Maggie. And here is her husband, Michael, the CEO of this company.
It turned out her sister was named Maggie. Apparently, this medical equipment manufacturing company was founded by Mary and Maggie's grandfather. With only the twin sisters in Mary's generation, they needed a son-in-law to continue the company's legacy. And that was Michael, the middle-aged man. I was embarrassed not to recognize the face of my own company's CEO. The CEO had been treated like a son-in-law in the family from an early age, and it seemed he and Maggie were in mutual love. But Mary, thinking Maggie would give up her happiness for her, left home right after getting her medical license and never returned. The CEO and Maggie married and took over the family business, but always hoped for Mary's return. The three of them were always very close.
Mary always gives away her happiness to others without thinking of herself. But having a wonderful partner and being able to meet like this again is fantastic. What a wonderful day.
Maggie cried with joy. And Mary cried happily with the same gesture. The CEO, smiling broadly, said to me,
Kevin, please take good care of Mary from now on.
I slowly nodded, and the CEO nodded back at me. Then he firmly glared at the Smiths and said,
Smith, you've said quite a bit to my dear sister-in-law. Your wife may be beautiful, but it seems she doesn't understand manners in such settings.
Smith shrank back, but Emily still glared at the CEO defiantly. It was clear, Emily was a very assertive woman.
Normally, if she's that old, you'd think she's the mother. What's wrong with that?
Despite Smith's attempts to stop her, Emily continued without admitting any fault.
Being beautiful is the most important thing for a woman. The most beautiful woman is the most respected. So, even if you're the president's wife, Maggie, I'm more important than you. Well, of course, I'm more important than Mary too.
I didn't know what life Emily had led, but I thought she had missed learning something crucial about life. Being physically beautiful is a stroke of luck. Being born into a good family or a country without hardships like the US is also luck. But I've met many people who aren't so fortunate. Those who don't have food to eat today, no water to drink, or no place for children to learn. People who spend their time and money helping others. I believe the most beautiful people are those with beautiful hearts. People who can laugh even when the future is uncertain, who rejoice in others' happiness as if it were their own, who share what they have if they have plenty, who can give up something important for others, and my wife is such a person. That's why I can't really think Emily is beautiful. Emily was still talking.
Hey, you always say it's a good opportunity. Tell him now. Mr. CEO, why don't you promote this man to an executive position soon? He has a relative in the executive seats, doesn't he?
At Emily's words, Smith finally hid his face and crouched down. The CEO heard this and said,
What's this, Smith? Our company is supposed to forbid nepotism.
Then a man, who seemed to be related to Smith, stepped forward, trembling, and said,
Oh, well, he's not going to be promoted.
Emily shouted in anger.
What?
As if bad things tend to pile up, another person came forward. It was Anna. Anna stood in front of Mary and greeted her.
Hi, Mary. My name is Anna. I'm always grateful to Kevin. I'm the CEO's daughter. I didn't want to use connections, so I've been working under my father's maiden name.
I didn't even know Anna was the CEO's daughter. Anna then turned to the CEO and said,
It's not just my opinion, but the whole department's. Smith has been harassing everyone in the department. I have recordings of it, so Dad, please listen later. And his position as a manager is lacking in competence.
Emily screamed like a banshee.
Don't you dare speak out, young lady. A father who listens to such things is no father at all. My man is the one fit to be the next CEO.
Then Anna, with a calm face, stood in front of Emily and said,
Your husband always comes to me because I'm young. There are plenty of young female employees he's harassed. I have recordings of that too. Maybe you'd like to listen.
Emily was speechless this time. With a crumbling face, she just looked at her husband. I was too overwhelmed by the flood of revelations to say anything, standing frozen. All I could hear was the pleasant classical music played on. Amid the awkward silence, Mary was the first to move. She approached Emily and gently patted her back. Then spoke softly to the Smith couple.
You're very beautiful. Smith surely treasures you very much. And you do too, right? You were just too worried about your husband and said too much. Why don't you talk it over and make up quickly?
Despite the nasty things said about her, Mary's ability to forgive appeared angelic to me. Even though she had every right to be the angriest, her kindness slowly brought back a sense of calm to the room. Some people came from the crowd to apologize to Mary. "We're sorry for staring. You looked so much like the CEO's wife, and if we made you uncomfortable, we apologize." Other employees also praised Smith to the CEO. "He has his good points in the department. It's easy going with him around." Even Emily said something surprisingly gracious to Smith. "I've been too demanding on you, because you always listen. I just went too far. Sorry, don't hate me." I was once again impressed by Mary's pure energy. In projects, Mary's presence alone makes anxious children and adults feel reassured. Even in situations where there's no food for tomorrow, her presence makes everything seem okay. Mary has everything: family background, money, good looks. But even without all that, I think she has the most beautiful heart in the world. I resolved to live up to a wife like her. Thanks to Mary, the awkward party managed to recover, and we successfully celebrated the founding anniversary. After the party, we planned to go on a short trip with the remaining days of Mary's stay in the US. But I canceled it. I thought Mary should spend the remaining days with the CEO and Maggie. When I told her, Mary unusually insisted.
I was really looking forward to it.
I felt happy but firmly replied, "The CEO and Maggie were looking forward to seeing you more than I was." Honestly, I was really looking forward to the trip too. But we have a long life ahead together. I have plenty of time with you, Mary. So, giving a few days to the CEO and Maggie is nothing. I decided to give you happiness when I married you. Your happiness is my happiness. Mary thanked me profusely and enjoyed her remaining days with the CEO and her sister. I was invited several times, but frankly, as a mere rank-and-file employee, I didn't have the courage to spend private time with the CEO. Gradually, I too started to think it would be nice if I could join them. After Mary went back to conflict zones, there were changes in my department. Firstly, Smith suddenly started learning about Doctors Without Borders. The fact that he hadn't learned about it until then was abnormal, but no one pointed it out. We all quietly observed. Then Anna left the company. She decided to go back to college to pursue a career as a doctor.
I want to become a cool woman like Mary. Plus, my younger brother is there, so the company will be fine without me.
The CEO and Maggie also said they would support Anna in her decision. I thought the fearless and strong Anna would surely become a good doctor. On a day when a pleasant breeze was blowing, I looked up at the sky from the company's rooftop and said in my heart, "Mary, your influence is incredible. I'll work even harder."